around the country. So you can see, doing those injections will be a lot less expensive than doing the surgery, when you see. Do you see that? Okay. So the results, you just saw some of the results. We've been doing, in our clinic, we've done probably 1,000 of these injections for different problems. Knees, hips, backs, necks, shoulders, shoulder replacement, calf heel spurs. And we have 95% or more of those patients say it was the best thing they've ever done for their arthritis. 95% or more of those patients say it's the best thing they've ever done for their arthritis. And there's been no side effects. So what do they have in a hospital that has 95% of the patients saying it's the best thing they've ever done and there's no side effects? If you went to the hospital and said, give me the thing that has 95% success rate and no side effects, what are they going to do? They're going to go, here you go. Maybe. Depends where they got the water. Right? How many of you are like, did I catch your interest? Raise your hand if I caught your interest. Yeah. So, here's the bad part. Insurance is based on a profitability ratio. You know insurance companies need to make profit, right? How much profit is an insurance company allowed to make, according to Obamacare?
15%.
15%, that's right. So do you think they'd rather have 15% of 1,000 or 15% of a million? 15% of a billion. So they'd rather you get the surgery than get the stem cells. Do you understand that? It's all about profit margins. It's not about you. These are not covered by anybody. This is cash. So this is cash. If you decide to do this, it's on you. We back up. Look at the out-of-pocket. See that? We go back again. Look at the out-of-pocket. You might go, I have great insurance. It's covered 100%. Okay, good luck with that. You know, if you said, I guarantee you I'll 100% cover a gunshot wound in your head, can I shoot you in the head? I'd say no. Right? I'm not going to just do that just because it's covered. I want the end result. The end result is 95% say it's the best thing they ever did, no rejection. Do you understand that? So, very few people can walk in and go, boom, here's $11,000. So what we do is we try to put financing in there, financing in place. We do have financial options. But I just want to let you know, I don't want to mislead anybody in this audience. If you come into our practice, I don't want you going, oh, I thought it was covered by insurance. Let me repeat it. It is not covered by any insurance. So let me ask you, most Americans have insurance. What is the #1 reason for personal bankruptcy? Unpaid medical bills, because they'd rather you spend $1 million than $1,000. Do you understand that? And the copayment on $1 million is a lot more for you than it is on 1,000. Do you understand that? So, this is what we charge per CC. It depends on what you're getting done as to how many CCs you need, but most joints, not all, need 1. And it's a one and done. It's not a follow-up. Most people, 1 injection, that's all they need. Do you understand that? Okay. And did I lose anybody? Everybody with me? You still interested? Okay, good. So, your first visit to our office, we will take you in, do an orthopedic exam. If we have to take an x-ray, we'll take an x-ray of the area of your concern. We'll talk to you about it. We'll have a nurse practitioner look at it, and we'll determine, are you a candidate for this or not? Now, that's a lot of work, and that's normally worth $250. Okay? But because you came to this talk, and we know this works, and we're trying to change healthcare, we're prepared to offer you that visit for $49 for everything I just said. You'd be able to come in, find out exactly if we can help you or not, $49. Do you understand that? And if you decide to do that, we'll apply whatever you pay towards that. Now, we set times aside in our office because I know a lot of you have conditions that can be helped, and you're going to want to come in. So for the next 3 days, we have a lot of open spaces. So if you book in the next 3 days, it's $39. Do you understand that? So let me just ask you, be honest with me. How many of you are interested to sign up for that? Hold your hand up. Let me see him. Let me see him up. Let me see him up. Perfect. Good. My staff will now circulate around and get you scheduled, and I'll stand here and answer questions as long as I have to until you get all the information you need. Deal? Mm-hmm. Good. What questions do you have?
What if we do you do therapy after? Is
exactly?
We can, and that usually, most insurances cover that. We do have rehab in our office, we can do therapy, we'll talk to you about that. But if you're trying to find out if we can save a joint, let's focus on that first. But yes, and insurance usually does cover that. Our policy on insurance is this: if you ever do any service in our office, you will find out, we don't do the hospital trick. You know what the hospital trick is, right? When you find out how much you're gonna have to pay for that surgery.
Long after you've had the surgery.
How much after?
3 months.
3 months after. That's exactly right. Everybody says the same thing. That's exactly right. 3 months after your surgery, you get a bill. Oh, this wasn't covered. And that's where they get hit with the medical bills that put them into bankruptcy. So our policy is, before you do anything, we tell you before you agree to it, this is what you're gonna have to pay. And these are the ways you can pay for it. So that's how we do that. So if you have a co-payment, if you have coverage for rehab, we'll tell you that. If you don't, we'll tell you that too. You will not get any surprise bills coming into our office. That is our promise to you. You had a question right next to him? I answered it? Question over here? Yes, sir.
What if I had 3 things I wanted to get treated?
Well, if you have 3 things, then we'll talk to you about that. Sometimes the 3 things could be, I have a back problem, I have a hip problem, I have a knee problem, I have an ankle problem. That's 4, right? And really it's all coming from a knee problem, and it might actually be this knee. So we'll look at it.
Do you do a discount for multiple CCs?
If we have to, depending on how much you get, we can talk to you about that. Yes, ma'am.
How many times can I get it done? Or will I need
Well,
to-
here's what typically happens. Usually, most people have to get it, like say, I had it for my shoulder, you get it injected once and then you're done, right? My wife, once in each knee, that was years ago, she's still great. But then you start going, well, you know, this knee kind of hurts a little, it's not as bad, but why am I living with that? What am I gonna do, wait until it gets real bad? So a lot of times people come back after they see that it works, which could be months later, and say, I'm doing more. And then we started doing some things, you know, there's some of our clients around the country are starting to do cosmetic things, which is blowing our mind. And you want to talk about repeat business? I mean, well, I got rid of these wrinkles, so what about these wrinkles? And what about this? And what about, so
Where do we learn about that?
that's another seminar.
What about hair?
When you come in the office, we'll talk to you about that. Deal?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I heard that if you have cancer or have had cancer, you shouldn't do stem cells.
Well, that's interesting. There's a lot of false data out there, and right now they're not sure what to say about that. So I can tell you this. We ask people if they have active cancer right now, and if they do, we hold off. But now we're finding out that that approach might be wrong. We don't know. We're going to stick to that right now. But I will tell you this. Yesterday, I sat with a patient who came in because she said, my brother has cancer, and he's going to the University of Michigan, and they got approved from the government to fund his stem cell treatment for his cancer. True story. So that may change. But right now, if you have active cancer, we're going to say, what we don't want to do is if you're going to get chemotherapy, we don't want to put stem cells in as you're getting chemotherapy because the chemotherapy will kill them. And we want you to get the best bang for your buck. So if you have active cancer, when the chemotherapy is over, then we'll talk to you about doing stem cells. Fair enough? Good. Yes?
So this is not laying into the, after your presentation, you give them a flat price?
I have no idea what you're talking about, man. I'm here doing a lecture in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Yes?
Can I use my health saving account?
We can check that out. We can check that out. Bring that information with you, and I don't know about insurance and I don't know about that stuff. I live in Oregon. So bring it in when you come in, and they'll help you with that. Good question. A lot of people do stuff like that, though. Yes?
If I have arthritis in my knees and I'm like 80 pounds overweight, can I do it? Will it work?
Well, you know, that's a good question. What should you do?
Lose weight.
Yeah, that's true. But your knees still need to be repaired, and sometimes they prevent you from losing the weight, right? So we had a patient yesterday that we sat with who he couldn't walk because of the problems with the degeneration in his feet. So obviously, it's hard to say a guy will plug it up and start exercising, right? Because the guy's like in a lot of pain and he's losing his balance. So if our stem cell program could rejuvenate your knees, we'll make a deal with you. If we get you feeling better, will you do a rehab program and you lose some weight? Deal. Yes?
What if it didn't work? What do you guys, do you have follow-up or anything for that?
Well, what we'll do is we have other tools in the shed. Very rarely do we ever come across that, but once in a while there's a small percentage of people it doesn't work on. So we may actually do another type of regenerative medicine, like a PRP or something like that. We'll do that, and we'll do that at no charge. If that doesn't work, we know it's not us, we know it's you. Yes?
How long does it last?
Well, they don't know because, you know, with my wife, 3 years, she's like, there's nowhere in sight of it going south. It's actually getting better. She's exercising more and a lot better shape. So We don't know. We just know that, you know, if you had to get a repeat treatment in 10 years, would that be a good thing?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yes.
So I have a completely torn ACL and the degeneration. Should I have the ACL repaired first, or?
I absolutely have no idea. When you come in, are you going to come in?
Yes.
Okay, ask the nurse practitioner who's going to work on you that question, and she'll give you her opinion. Because I don't do the injection. I'm the band. I'm the speaker. I'm up here on stage. Yes. Anyone? Yes, sir.
I did stem cells before, and my insurance covered it, and it didn't work.
Your insurance covered it didn't work? Well, that kind of adds together, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So who knows what you did? But I know insurance doesn't cover it. I can tell you, if we bill this to Medicare, we'd have investigators in our office going, what are you billing this to Medicare for? So, what kind of stem cells did you get?
I don't know, I just said it was stem cells.
Who said it was stem cells?
The doctor that did the injection.
Okay. I wasn't there, I have no idea how to answer that. All I can tell you is it's not covered. Yes?
I have a shoulder problem that acts up, gets really, really, really bad, but right now I'm feeling kind of good. It's kind of in remission, but I know it's coming back. Do you still recommend getting the injections now?
If you were a pilot, you're talking about your plane and say, I have a little bit of rust by the third engine, but right now it seems to be flying pretty good. What would you do? That's a good plan. Anybody else?
Is there ever a time you recommend surgery?
Yes. Remember I showed you when it's too bad? Yes. Sometimes we send people off for surgery. Let's hope it's not to that point. Anybody else? Okay, so by now you're all signed up? That's how it works. Now to answer your question, because I wasn't coming out of that mode. What was your question?
Mine?
Yes.
Oh, so it looked like you were giving the seminar, and then you said it's 5,000 for CC, and then you said, you know, for the first visit, if you want to come back, that's when we'll do your RLS.
To the exam.
To the exam, exactly. Do you give that $5,000 CC price, like, during your presentation? Because we do it on the second RLS.
Oh, we tell, look, if you get 20 people in and 18 of them go, 5,000, that's ridiculous, and they leave, you just spent how many hours triaging people you're not going to treat, right?
Yeah.
I'd rather, first of all, there's a couple things here. I'd rather flatten the button before they come in, and I'd rather let them think about it. That's why I threw out some examples about like the engine, the airplane engine. Like Mark and I didn't arrange that. That was just like a perfect segue though. But like the different things I talk about the price. You got them in front of you right now. It's a great time to talk about what's covered, what's not covered. Were you guys able to understand what I said about insurance?
Yeah.
So are most audiences. And they go, I never thought of that. But that's exactly how an insurance company works. They want the bill high because they get a higher percentage. Darren.
Just with a lot of our patients, there's a knee-jerk reaction when they hear the full amount. So, you know, I in our seminars, when I give it, I say it's a monthly fee, and then when they come in, I go with the full price, which I get people challenging me. But once I tell them how much it is monthly, you know, and I let them know we're all on a budget, you know, we pay so much monthly, they're okay with that. You know, everyone's eyes opens up when I tell them it's $7,000. But when they get into the budget, I say, well, it's only about 212 months over 4 years. Like, oh, I can afford that. So my thinking
If
is,
that works for you, do that.
yeah, I mean, I may test your way to see how my response is different.
The only thing I can tell you is, what's the most important thing in the sales process?
Emotion.
Nope. It's what's between your ears.
Oh, right.
And if you're having a problem with that price, that'll carry through.
I don't have a problem with price.
Then keep doing it your way. But I'm doing it my way because I've gotten out of 25 people, 16 to come in. And I can tell you this, when you tell them the price ahead of time and they paid to be there, what's the likelihood they're gonna buy?
Most times they have.
They're coming in shopping. They're coming in buying. They got a grocery cart. Okay.
When they come in for the
What is
actual
this thing?
stem cell injection, are you telling them exactly what
Consultation.
products they're getting for productive? Or
No.
just saying?
Consultation,
No.
nurse practitioner.
We're just making the decision what's best for them.
And they sign
Yes.
up there.
Did you list the price
I guess.
on your website?
No.
No. Two questions. In the previous version of this, you were talking about some of the other ancillary services you do rehab. You're not really talking about that.
No, but I was really glad you brought it up because when you brought it up, I was able to just tag that right in. To see if it comes from the audience. How many of you realize, oh crap, they're doubling down on this. This is a good thing. Right, but the patients are going, oh, if I get other services, it's covered. That might be enough to inspire them to come in and get checked out.
So the other question follow on that, you know, an E&M code is billables of insurance, essentially that's what you're doing, but you're charging for 39, so how do you get away from it?
This is cat, we're not building this off.
Right, but it's the same service that you would bill for insurance. You're doing an exam, right?
No, in the stem cell consultation.
Oh, you're not doing an exam?
You're
It's a consultation.
You're not doing the day 1 through 4 process?
No, we're not doing it.
I'm not joking.
They might take an X-ray, they might do it, go in and do an orthopedic exam, we might have a chiropractor go in and do it. It's not billable.
So you're just doing a consult and then report the same visit?
Yeah, I mean, you can do it, we're gonna go over that now. You can close them in the 2-day report, you can do the whole workup, but what I'll tell you is this, if you work them up for rehab and stem cells on the same visit, you'll confuse them. So what we do is, if they come in for physical medicine, we tell them physical medicine and introduce stem cells later if they're a candidate. If they come in for stem cells, we tell them stem cells and introduce physical medicine. Remember, they buy stem cells, they're doing a week follow-up, they're doing a month follow-up, they're doing a 6-week follow-up, so we get another opportunity to get them in. So that's how we're approaching it. If they come in for neuropathy, we're not trying to sell them stem cells or rehab, we're doing a neuropathy program. You can always get them for the other stuff later. Does that make sense?
Yes,
But as far as E&M codes, sketch services, nobody looking at that. I mean, I don't know, I never even thought about it. We're not doing it's not a full-blown exam. Now, a full-blown exam is a different price. See, do you have different levels of exam? Yeah. Is there a re-exam code or an exam code? It could be like $49, $39. It could be. We're not billing to an insurance company. But if we're gonna go for that $180 exam, we gotta do all those things, right? We're not doing all those things. Who had a question? Yeah.
Just to touch on that, our attorney told us to avoid that, to just say that money is just to hold their appointment time. And
You
then
say that?
We put it towards their stem cells anyways.
And I did say that. I said, we'll apply this to their stem cell.
Yeah, it's just to hold their appointment time.
Yeah, so say it that way. I like that better. You gotta realize, I don't even do the lectures anymore. I haven't done the lectures in my office for years.
Are
Yeah.
you elected at that point?
I'll be honest with you, I'm gonna go to a lecture on Monday. It's gonna be the first time I've been there in a while. So I think they do collect it. When I used to go before, I just recommended it. But when I found out, when I handed this off to somebody else, we had a lot of people say yes, and then they didn't show up. So we added this in because we wanted to get them to show up. You understand that? So this is not the way I did it. The way I did it was I told them the price, and I signed them up. And we got them to come in, and we sold a lot of stem cells. But now they got other people doing it. The guy who's doing my stem cell lecture is a great guy. He's a really smart guy. You guys know Taylor, who does the rehab? That's who does my stem cell lectures. He's not a doctor. He doesn't have a college degree. He's getting them in, like a lot of them. Okay?
Any bonus?
I don't know. I'm not ED, Colleen is. But he makes a lot of money doing it. So she can help you with that. Are you guys good? Yes, sir.
I was just curious, is anybody, or are you doing any type of, I've heard people doing like gold tier, silver, bronze, with different products they're using?
I'm not gonna do that. This talk would be too confusing. But you might wanna do that in your office.
Right.
We do, so just so you know, now we're done the talk. I'm gonna trip on my shoelace. Everybody, give me 1 second. My fly's open. So, here's what we do. We don't tell them this at the talk. Somebody, hey, you were asking me, Brian was asking me, what kind of discounts you give, and I avoided that. I gave him what's called a no answer. You guys know what a no answer is? I didn't really answer his question, did I? And nobody caught it. But here's why I did that. When they come into the office, you want to buy now, right? So the buy now is like, you know, oh, let me think about this. No, you don't want that. You want them to buy now, right? So our buy now is this. Look, if you do it today, any other joint you do is half price. And if you do 2 other joints, the second joint is less than that. And I don't even know what it is, so I'm just telling you. So what happens is, we have people going, I'll do 3 joints. Well, my husband's here too, what about him? So we work with him on that too. So we make sure we're making a profit all the way through, but we give them that buy now because they're right there. It's just like, you don't have to do all the work. It's like, okay, let's do another one. Here, let's do this need, right? So it's a great way. Plus, if you buy the stem cells from Predictive, a 2cc is just what, $500 more? So for $500, you're getting another $2,500, right? So that's what you do. So, but I don't do that at the top because you take away the ability for the people to close them in the office. Yeah.
What do you think about having one of your lectures on a recorded loop so you can send it in your email or on your website or something?
I don't know. I think there's something to that personal touch. But it is good to have a recorded, like you should record your talks, so you, 1, you go back and review them, but 2, you can edit it and make a shorter version for that person who walks in who never went to your talk, and have a 20-minute video for them to sit down and watch. That's very effective. Yes?
Are y'all combining the products?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, I've been in my office 4 times this year. I know they are. I know they're using Amniocyte Plus, plus the Foresight. and at the tier we're buying it, that is still less than $1,000, or it's like $1,000, something like that.
That's
2 cc's. You guys realize that, right? When you're combining product, you get 2 cc's.
Seller amniotic patch.
So for like $1,000.
Myomectomies and hysterectomies.
You guys understand?
They don't get medications.
So look, if you buy it from their predictive price break, if you buy it in volume, you're getting like $800 for their Foresight, and then it's like $400 for their AmnioSite Plus. You combine them, now you got 2 cc's of product for like 11 something or 1,200. That's $600 a cc. Huh? It's up to you.
Patient comes back in 8 weeks.
Look, I was just talking this morning about
almost no scar
using
tissue, and then the one little
2
20%
cc's for
has
spinal
scar
problems,
tissue,
and
they
then
can
Brian
see
said
it
they're using
like
1
out,
cc
so
for
it's
spinal
like on the
problems.
outside of
Get
It's
results.
like on the inside.
I don't know.
It's pretty cool
I would say
My
stick to
Medics
2
is the name of
cc's,
the company.
if somebody can't afford to say, look, you drop the 1
nothing to
cc,
do with this company.
but see, for the 2
Wouldn't
cc's,
need
we're
it.
charging 50% for the
Wound
cycle.
care. But it's the
Did you have something else, Sam?
No, I was saying, if you buy it,
You can do wound care with hair in this model. They have
second tier, you get 2 cc's.
Well, so that is Medicare reimbursement.
Bob, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't they say that they're gonna look at our buying power after the first quarter? And if we get good buying power, they're gonna give us
$2,500
all
for
the
a piece
discount.
that big.
Because they might have buying power.
For a craniotomy, 10 by 10, it's $11,000.
And we are already exceeding that, we're on track to exceed that, so what'll happen is you'll end up getting third-tier pricing.
Eric told me.
So what about,
Yeah, so
like
that's
existing
what we
scars
negotiate.
on the head?
Which is great, because you guys, you'll be getting 2 cc's for about what you can get
That's
for the
not the
price of 1
application.
for. Okay?
Although,
All right, so, I gotta move quick. We have, in your book, you're gonna see there's a lot of how to handle objections. Colleen's gotta go through with you how to set up these dinner talks, how to get people to show up, and how to actually get them scheduled and show up. That's important, right?
yeah.
Yeah, so she's gonna go through that from 3:30 until 5. There's a bunch of objection handling, but I think if you look what Bob and I covered this morning, a lot of those objections are not even gonna come up. But look through that book, there's a lot of objection handling in there. But let me just tell you the sequence we go through when they come in. You can do a 1-day program, you can do a 2-day program. 2-day program is you bring them in, you work them
20
up.
minutes, I think.
You actually, do me a favor, write down the information you want me to share for the break. Do it now, because I'm gonna need it. Okay? Yes. Dr. Watt.
I'm gonna go sit.
So,
Hear that bar having that.
we found, there's a couple theories here. You can do whatever you want. You can do a whole workup, take your x-rays, and then come back and do a report of findings. That works very well. You can do that. But somebody introduced us a theory of saying, look, if you are trying to be really, really clean, you better not be diagnosing something that you can treat with stem cells. If you want to be really, really clean, now there's no law that's going to get you in trouble, but right now if you want to be extra squeaky clean, you better not diagnose it with a knee problem and say I'm going to use stem cells to treat it. Because they would say then you're using a drug. And then you'd have to defend yourself. And you could defend that, but you find yourself defending them. So who treats people medically without a diagnosis? Plastic surgeons. They don't do an exam and say, sorry Corey, you need a nose job. They don't do that. You don't need a nose job, I'm just using it because you're fun. And these guys are sports, aren't they? What they do is they go, oh, what would you like? Oh, you like a nose job? Oh, let me see if you can get that. Oh yeah, you're cleared for that. Are they diagnosing them for a nose job? Are the patient paying for a nose job? Yeah.
They also do completely free consultation exams. I know.
Well, that's how I used to do it,
So what I'm
but
saying-
when I'm not there, this works better.
I said a cosmetic surgeon will definitely walk in and do everything free the first visit.
Yeah, you should go to a cosmetic surgeon. We did one time, we were doing weight loss and they brought us in and I said, just run me through like I was a patient. There we go. Oh, you need a lot of weight. Anyway, they really have it down. They don't diagnose. So basically you have a patient comes in and says, I have knee problems, can it work for that? Oh yeah, well we don't treat that, but we've had a lot of people that had knee problems and let me show you some x-rays. And I went to that talk, it sounded really good. Okay, you want to do this? So what we started doing is our case manager is closing them and getting them to pay before they ever get to see the nurse practitioner. Then they say to the nurse practitioner, this person just brought a knee injection. She goes, all right, let me just make sure there's no contraindications. Okay, you're good. She goes in and does it. She never diagnosed them. It's squeaky clean for her license. The patient's getting the stem cells. They understand it's not us curing them, it's them curing themselves. Yes, sir.
The obvious question after they paid is what specific contraindications?
We're not going to discuss that. This is a sales presentation, not a clinical presentation. I know you do, and you will get that, but not from me, because I'm a chiropractor, okay? But you can get that. You can get that. So talk to Predictive, and they can hook up with people with that. They can even tell you the contraindications. But I am not the person to ask that. Yeah, have you been to the training with Karen? Has your nurse practitioner been to the training? She can give you that too. Okay? We got a question over here. Brian.
It's probably the same thing going along with him. I was to say, at what extent do you say I can't help you with the stem cells and generation?
Well, there's a couple things there. If they go, they have active cancer and are getting chemotherapy, well, she's going to say, no, I'm not doing it.
Just for like our
Yeah.
generation.
But how bad is bad? So here's a couple things that came up. We had a police officer who's a SWAT intruder. What's a SWAT intruder do? Breaks down doors. So this guy, he's like 6'4", 240 pounds, and he's wearing 80 pounds of armor, and he's carrying a 60-pound battering ram, and he's got a rifle on his back and a 9mm on his hip. So he said when he jumped off that truck, 400 pounds hitting the concrete. And when he was 25, he loved it. They'd pull up, they'd do the intrusion like once or twice a week, jump off the truck, land on the right knee every time. He said by the time he was like 35, it was hurting him a little bit. He found himself taking Advil. By the time he was 40, he was taking Advil in the truck before he jumped off the truck. And then by the time we got him, he's in his late 40s, and he can no longer run, and he's no longer an intruder. He's an instructor at the academy, right? So we treat him, and he's like, this is the best thing ever. I'm running again. I could do intrusions again, but I don't want to do that. I like to teach people how to shoot. So he's all for it, right? But he brings his dad in. And I get a phone call in Oregon. Dr. Cartwright needs you to look at this x-ray. And I look at it. It's really bad. Oh, crap. This is Ron's dad. So I don't think we should do it. I'm like, well, what did Ron's dad say? He said, if you don't do it, I'm just going to live with it. I'm not getting knee replacement surgery. I'm like, so Betsy, why are you making this decision for Ron's dad? Why don't you just tell him, look, you're pretty far gone. The chances of this working are slimmer than other people. It's not as good as your son. So what do you want to do? And he said, I'll do it. So he did it. And it worked. So then what was too far gone changed. That's happened like 4 times. So I don't know. Don't make the decision for these people of what's too far gone. I don't know. You know, I'm sure there's a case where one of you could tell me the story right now and go, yeah, I probably wouldn't do that. And then you say, but we did it, it worked. So I don't know. Use your judgment. That's what being a clinician is. Yeah.
You were mentioning about doing the paraspinals, and up to this point, when people say, do you do the spine, I've been saying no.
Right, same here.
Don't do that anymore.
Okay.
That's it. Well, I like what? 40% of them are spine, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, crap, we don't have an anesthesiologist with
Yeah, that's what I've been
you know.
saying.
And then
Yeah.
and now maybe I dreamed this, maybe somebody told it to me, I don't know, but I swear, one night I was sleeping, I woke up and went, what if we injected into paraspinal muscles? If they're alive, they'll just swim there.
Yeah.
Right? So we tried it. It worked.
I'm gonna
Try it
start
again.
saying yeah. I have
Or
people every lecture,
it
and
has
I've
a
been saying no.
It has a higher rate where it doesn't work. It's probably down in the low 90s, upper 80s, but still. The first one we did was my medical doctor who had 3 failed surgeries, and we injected around his, and you know, he was, where's Bo? He was our old medical doctor. And what he said to me was, oh no, it didn't work. And I go, why not? He goes, I still got pain on my left side. I go, what about the right side? Oh, that's all cleared up. I'm like, did you have pain before? Yeah, but I still have pain on my left side. That's when I realized, you better not tell them we're getting you out of pain. You better say, this is to assist you in healing yourself. Let's see if it improves things. That's what we want to be promising people. So then that way, if they go, yeah, the pain went from a 10 down to a 6, or down to a 4, down to a 3, then they go, thank you for doing that. I can live with that. Yeah.
You mean like a true implementation or
No, we're, okay. So, anybody know,
I think you talk about medical doctor.
Bob, what's his name in Cleveland? Russell Browning. Russell Browning has 5 clinics. He started with us, he had 1, now he has 5. He has a surgeon that works for him, she supervises all the nurse practitioners. So he's like, she's having trouble doing this stem cell thing. I said, send her down to me. So she came down. This girl, she's like, I don't know, 32. She's Japanese, she's real tiny, really friggin' smart. She was like, I said, Jane, why'd you stop doing surgery? She goes, I went to NYU and I got access to the national data banks. You know what the failure rate for surgery is, back surgery? I said, no, what? She goes, 75%. I didn't go to school all those years to be a 75% failure, so I'm not doing surgery. I'm like, well, have you done surgery? Yeah, a lot of it. Okay, good. So she's in my office, and our MD comes in. John, this is Jane. She's an orthopedic surgeon. Oh, hey, how you doing? So, oh, hey, how you doing? And then, you know, Benzie, so she lays down, and Benzie's like this, looking at the orthopedic surgeon, like, what do I do, what do I do, what do I do? So she goes, you want a 3-inch needle, Benzie. 3-inch needle. So it went just like this. So the patient's laying there, and Benzie's taking the needle, and she goes straight in, not towards the spine, straight in the muscles about that far off, so you're in the paraspinals, you guys know where the paraspinals are. Straight in, and Benzie's going like this, and the surgeon goes, whoosh, all the way in, and I'm like, the medical doctor's laying there going, let me know when you're getting ready to start. I'm like, oh. So they did all 4 of them. She goes, in the lumbar, there's that much meat. So you need a 3-inch needle. Not in the thoracics, which you hardly ever do those, and not in the cervicals. So be careful. Yeah, you don't want to puncture a lung.
How size is the needle?
I don't know. I only saw his done.
Oh.
I live in Oregon.
Okay.
But it works great.
Okay.
It works really, really good. So we don't send those people away anymore. We had an anesthesiologist lined up. The committee said, to pay me, I think it was $1,000. I'll be in your office 3 hours. I'll do as many as you want. We're like, that's a good deal. Now we're like, we don't even need him. All right. So you bring them in, and you just determine, do you want to do it in 1 day, or you want to do it in 2 days? If you do it in 2 days, you got to go through the process. You go through all that. Your case manager is going to get all that information out of the patient. You want them to go up that awareness scale. You want them to go, holy crap, this is really bad. I don't want to learn to live with this. You will find that some of these stem cell patients will go right up that scale and say, I'm ready to buy. So go all the way through it quickly and get them to buy. But not all of them are that way. But you got to work them up. After you're done, then you got to do some sort of, you know, whatever you're going to do to determine, yes, we can help you or not. If they have x-rays and you don't want to take their x-rays, say, bring them with you and look at them there. So we have a bunch of people, like we have somebody flying in on Monday. They never met the patient. He sent his x-rays, he sent his history, they asked him questions over the phone. He's coming in with the money to buy stem cells. He's flying in from Philadelphia. He's my nephew's father-in-law. We have people that flew in from Philadelphia, New York, Washington, Portland, Denver, into Chattanooga, Tennessee, the metropolis of healthcare, to get their stem cell care. We have people in Virginia just came in that are referring us people from all over the country right now. So work up what you got to do, and then if you want to do the 1 day, if you're going to do an x-ray, that means you're going to have to read it quick. We started doing all kinds of x-rays, and then, you know, if you do this great big workup on somebody, you're billing it to insurance, that's a little bit sketchy. And then you got to look at all these x-rays, and that takes time. And now you're dragging it out for 2 days. We say to them, look, come in, we'll just see if we can help, and we try to sell them right there. That's what we're doing now. Do it 1 day, 1 day close, before they even see a nurse practitioner. And we're closing people that way. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, do it as a 2-day close. Bring them in, get the history, do the workup, do the exam, do the x-rays, schedule them to come back, do a report of findings, and close them. We've done both. They both work. Yes?
So if they sign up as a stem cell patient and then they come back for rehab, do you go through the 1 through 4 process?
We don't push that rehab.
I mean, if they want it.
We don't push that rehab until
It's all just a
we're
word.
doing a follow-up.
I understand.
So what he's saying.
When they're winning, we say, yeah, now it's time to do rehab. You should be doing rehab the first month anyway. So what happens is,
Then you
yeah,
say,
a lot of
okay,
them, some of them
well,
go faster, some of them go less than that. But we do the workup, we gather all the data we need, because now we're building insurance, and that's a whole different game.
With your
With
condition,
So yeah, the answer to that is
without
yes.
rendering
It's the
a
way you learned
diagnosis
it
in the notes.
in the case management. Yes.
Doc,
Yes.
you mentioned wait a
The way
month
in which
and
you
then recheck
say,
them. You do that with
I'm
every
going to
patient.
treat
Yeah.
your OA with this.
We call them in the first week, we have them come back for a follow-up visit in a month, then we have them come, I don't even know, oh, she left, she had a, my staff members going to like an engagement party for her.
Yeah, I would ask you.
Like you had to.
So,
So
Yeah.
you guys are distinguishing stem cell totally different from the chiro rehab side of your practice, basically.
yeah, like,
Two separate things. You're not trying to incorporate both at the same
well,
time.
no, they do work together.
I know, I'm just wondering.
If
how
somebody
you-
doesn't do the stem cells,
Yes.
I just can't afford it, but I got this great insurance, I go, all right, well, let's see what else we can do. Maybe we can do hyaluronic injection, or maybe we can do rehab, or maybe we can do decompression, or whatever. And then we get them in rehab. And when they're in rehab, they're talking to people who did stem cell injections, because they're working out with them. So you eventually get them. That's how we do it. Okay? But don't try to sell them all at once, because you'll confuse them. You'll overwhelm them, and they won't buy anything. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, like the neuropathy. Anybody here doing a neuropathy program? First of all, let me tell you, that program works. 100% of the people doing the neuropathy program, and I went into that clinic yesterday, I sat down with them all and said, so tell me what's going on. I can feel my bathroom floor, I can feel the heater in the floor, I can feel my shoes, every one of them, 100% is getting better. It is a tough close, but the close is like 7 to 9 grand. So we don't try to mix that with the stem cells, although stem cells is part of that. We don't try to do orthopedic stem cells on those people, we're just saying we're focusing on neuropathy. We're not trying to put them in rehab or anything, we're just focusing on neuropathy. And then stem cells, focusing on the stem cells. They might need the other later, and we will talk to them about that. Do you understand that?
I do.
If you treat them real good, they'll trust you and they'll do it. That's what we used to do with weight loss. With weight loss, we'd say, man, we gathered all this data, it looks like you got a lot going on. So Mark, let me ask you, I know you're here for weight loss, okay? Let's do the weight loss program and get you to get some wins on that. And if it's working, would you like to handle some of these other things? Okay, we'll talk to you about that in a month. What are they going to say when you come back? Yeah, it worked great. I'm not talking about the other thing. They're going to go, yeah, what else do you got? I mean, look at how much better I am. Tim, what are you doing? Are you closing on 1 day or 2 days?
1 day.
1 day. You doing that, Brad?
1 day.
Cool. What are you doing?
We were doing 1 day, we went to 2 days.
Okay. And?
It works the same either way. We just found out it was the way our system was set up. When we were seeing a lot of people in 1 day, there was too many variables, and we just couldn't keep it to a consistent time. So it would run over sometimes.
How many have a traffic cop? Good, 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 good. Bad, 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 bad. I mean, the biggest thing that kills your sale is people waiting. You get somebody sitting in a room, write this down. Every minute they spend in your office is another reason not to buy. Now, you need to get them to spend some minutes in your office, so it's a balance. If they spend 20 minutes in the office and I get them to buy, that's great. If they spend 120 minutes in the office, well, now you're pushing it. If they spend 220 minutes in your office, they're not buying. Just because of the amount of time they spent in your office, no matter how good your product is. You have to have your systems down, which is why Colleen's going to talk about administration. Remember what popped up this morning? Promotion, administration, economy. You understand that? The next thing that Colleen's going to talk to you about, when do I have to take a break, Grace?
No.
About now. So what she's going to do is she's going to come back and talk to you about the administrative flow of handling these people, because if you don't have that down, you're going to waste a lot of people who could benefit from your program. Okay? Any questions before I break?
I don't know.
Oh yeah,
but we
so
averaged
Dr.
about
Brad
2
Watts is out there. Biogenetics,
since
have you
August.
ever, how many of you ever stopped and talked to those guys?
Last year.
Okay, they have
2 weeks.
supplements that are designed to
How would you
enhance
sell
some of your
$3,000,
treatments.
$4,000
One of them
We
being, or a
just
couple of them
raised
being
the
for
price, so
stem
ours
cells.
have been 4,500.
So what's the best way to treat heart disease?
Or, well, they were 3,500.
Diet and exercise. What's the best way to treat
4,500.
cancer?
Okay.
But I don't know.
Everybody's like, I don't know about that one. Yeah, diet and exercise is the right answer.
you
What's
just
the best
put
way to do
injection,
weight loss? Diet and
regardless of
exercise.
whether
What's
it's
the best way to handle
half or
diabetes? Diet and exercise.
Which is normally
So don't leave out the diet part.
But it's normally it's
Those
a
guys
lot
have a
less.
company that's so
They have a
fantastic.
little bit
You
more.
know, there's certain enzymes that you take that when you eat them,
Those styles
your
are different.
digestive system just kills them, right? So what they've done is they've worked very hard to get digestive,
You just went up a
get
tier.
delivery
Well,
systems
no,
to get it to
actually,
absorb
we,
in your
just
mouth
switched
to
to
bypass
company.
the
I don't
digestive
remember
system
what it is,
by
but-
enveloping them in a liposome. You guys know about this?
There's a lot of code.
So that when that nutrient gets in their bloodstream, it's still intact. And they make them, some of them specifically for stem cell patients.
Yeah.
Do yourself a favor, talk to Dr. Brad, when you go out there, it's biogenetics, the food is right there, and he can talk to you more about that. Yes, sir?
Yes, and we were-
I don't know, I live in
some of
Oregon.
this we sold 0. You know what I mean? So it's just
I know they
we
talk
had
about
some
it,
extra
you know what
Three?
they're buying and stuff.
Or, okay,
So,
so you
I know with neuropathy,
One or two
we
is
tell them,
averaging, yes.
nutrition is a
Yes.
part of this.
safe to say one and a
So
half.
it's a separate
Yeah.
sale, but we tell them it's part of it.
Just-
And if they go, well, you didn't include that in the other
Yeah.
stuff, yeah, we didn't include all your meals in it either, you have to buy that too, right?
Okay, am I interrupting you?
No.
You wanna know the best way to sell nutrition?
Like,
You just,
well,
this is how we'll take a break, ready?
All of that.
Okay, so role play with me.
Yeah,
So,
all demographics.
they come up
you
with
take vitamins, say no.
I don't
I'm,
know.
I'm
Do you eat a perfect diet?
They'll come up with it.
Okay,
We
would
also
you
do
spend $2
care
extra a
credit
meal to
and
have a
benefits.
perfect diet? Then you should buy vitamins.
Do you almost always finance?
Here's the vitamins you need to buy, it'll be that price.
Cash right up front.
Do you see how simple that is? It's like 6
I don't
bucks a
know where they
day,
get it, but they
times
get it.
30 days. You break it down like that, they go, oh, shit, I never thought of it that way. I mean, I'm thinking they want $100 for the bottle, no, it's like $2 a meal. You ask anybody, would you spend $2 a meal on balanced nutrition? They go, yeah, right? It's that simple. It's like when you make the equation of, okay, you want to do a neuropathy program? It's like buying a car. Well, I gotta buy a car to get this? Yeah, do you have, if your car broke down today, do you have money to drop like $17,000 on a brand new car? No. Well, what would you do? I finance it. Okay, good. We'll do that. How would you like to finance that? Here's options. It's like when you put it in a perspective, that's when people go, yeah, what am I waiting for? It's like when the lady said to her husband, "You just dropped $5 grand on a hearing aid. This is your feet. You're gonna lose your feet." You know they're not
So-
they're gonna get amputated if they don't do something. You know that,
We're
right?
looking at about 20 grand.
Okay. Did I wear you guys out?
Yeah, that's
safe to
pretty
say?
right.
So was this worthwhile?
Just
Yeah.
shy of a quarter of a year.
Be back here in 15 minutes. Colleen's gonna give you all the nuts and bolts on how to get them to this point.
What her numbers
Good.
were.
I'd like to